Roll for Crit is made possible thanks to the support of viewers like you and our patrons on our Patreon page.
You can become a patron for just $1 a month at patreon.com/rollforcrit.
Welcome to our continuing coverage of Gen Con Online, the next best thing to Gen Con in person. We're here with Max from Resonym, designer of such games as Visitor and Mechanica, and also now Surreal's Dinner Party, which should be still on Kickstarter right now. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so if anyone isn't familiar with Surreal's Dinner Party, why don't you, if you could lay it out for us and tell us exactly what the game is, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So Surreal's Dinner Party is the next upcoming game from Resonym. As with many of our games like Visitor and Mechanica, I co-designed it with our CEO, Mary Flanagan. And Surreal's Dinner Party is a game about real surrealist artists. It's a very straightforward card game where you've invited 6 of your favorite surrealist artists or writers to a dinner party, and you're in charge of keeping them happy. The game features 30, I think, jumbo-sized surrealist artist cards. Actually, I have some here. They're huge, and each of them depicts a real surrealist artist or writer from the surrealism movement, or some of whom are a little more modern. And each of them wants a series of things. They want some appetites. So your goal is to get them the things they want, and of course, being surrealist, the things they want are wine, surreal food like lobster, dessert, compliments, and drama. Many of them like drama a lot. So you're kind of competing with your opponents to get the best things for your guests.
Yeah, we've had the chance to actually play it. We got a preview copy, which was great. We had a lot of fun with it. And I was curious about, the general design of the game and what the process was like, is because it is such an interesting theme that I think grabs people's attention. Did it start from a place of that theme, or was it more of a mechanics-based idea that you later figured out what the right fit would be for it?
You're definitely seeing it right. It was a theme-first game. This comes from Professor Flanagan's love of surrealism, and she actually has done a lot of research on the surrealist movement. And she came up with the idea of, we need to make a game about these awesome surrealist artists. So we did start with those, and then the idea was, well, what could they be doing at a dinner party, and what kind of core elements can capture the Resonym ethos, which is about building something cool for yourself, but also being able to mess with your opponents a little bit, and kind of having a little bit of tension, a little bit of cooperation.
Right, as you said, right now it's on Kickstarter, but things are a little different. If you can't tell, we're not in person to talk about this. How has that affected you guys? Has that changed things up? Are you doing the campaign a little differently?
Yeah, it's a little strange. We are constantly developing games, and we're constantly doing things like playtesting for balance in Surrealist Dinner Party, and all of that has had to move online now. We've been using Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator, lots of Discord, and it's not quite the same for sure. But for the campaign, a lot of it's pretty similar, right? Honestly, our team is often in different places anyway. So we've been able to do some demos. For example, last night we did a demo of the game for our Kickstarter backers on Tabletopia and on Tabletop Simulator. So it's changed things around, but the core is not all that different.
And you guys are kind of working on some stuff for during Gen Con online. Is that right? Like some online events and things people can take part in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing the kind of the straightforward stuff as well as some new things. We're doing some scheduled events. Players can sign up to play Surrealist Dinner Party or Mechanica and come and play those with us online. But we're also trying to do kind of a digitization of the standard booth, because we love having people kind of stumble upon our games without having heard of us before, and we get to show them the games and kind of win them over. That's not a thing that we've been able to do at some of the past online conventions like VGC, Virtual Gaming Convention. So we're trying to get new people to kind of stumble in. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be running the booth in our Discord server just the entire day of all Gen Con, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And people are just going to be able to drop in, and we'll be there ready. We'll be doing screen shares of our games as they're ongoing, telling people about them. And if they're interested, just like a real booth, we can send them over to a table and get them started on the game. So we're trying to really kind of recreate that booth experience, but in Discord.
Yeah.
I really like that. It's one of the things I'm hoping we see a lot of people do, because I'm the kind of guy who likes weaving through all the aisles after just seeing what's around and maybe like, oh, what's that? That doesn't look familiar to me. And some of the best ways to find some good gems that you don't really hear about because they're just not from, whoever can throw the most money at advertising.
Exactly. And like you can only get so far with the scheduled events because people are only signing up for events usually that are for games they've already heard of. So that kind of serendipity of walking through those aisles and being like, whoa, what's that? Is something we'd love to be able to recreate. We'll see how well it goes.
Yeah, it's a great thing. And I think Surreal's Dinner Party is definitely a game that would catch the eye of people walking by. There's a lot of great art in it, as befitting a game about many artists. And that's something I want to ask about too, because I know one of the, I assume it was a challenge, but you'll tell me of this game, is getting rights for the likenesses for some of the artists that you have in the game. What's that process like? And I mean, I don't know how far along you are in that process in terms of who you have approved or not approved, because we had thought that maybe it would be just like you're free to use these people since they're based on real people, but apparently it's not that simple.
Right. It depends on there's a whole legal quagmire going on where like it depends on where you are. In some places it's okay to use them because they're public figures, in other places it's not. But just to be safe and to really do justice to the artists, we wanted to make sure that their estates were fine with us using their names and using our artists' interpretation of their likenesses. So we have been. That's actually been the longest part of this game, and we've been doing it, I think, for about 2 years now, getting all of these rights. There are 30 Surrealists in the game, and we currently have approval for 25 of them. So we just have the last 5 to go. And it's just been a long time in coming. It's been a long challenge just because every artist has their own estate. Sometimes they're hard to reach. Sometimes they're a little easier to reach. And then we get to talk with them about the game and what's exciting about it and what kind of win them over. So it's been certainly a challenge. I have to say, I'm going to hope that we don't have to do a game where we need approval from 30 different people's estates in the future. But I'm glad we've got them because these are some really exciting artists that sometimes don't get as much public attention as they should get. So we're glad to kind of be able to bring that to them.
Yeah, and I imagine it's nice too just to have you can say on the box, officially approved.
By the estate of Salvador Dali.
Right. Give you some cred.
I did not take a lot of art classes, so when we played this, I was like, oh, I don't know who this is. And Jonathan's like, oh yeah, that's this person or something. So I do like that you're actually helping bring these names out. I like when you learn a little bit about something you might not know about, and it's not like I'm being punished because it's a trivia game. It doesn't. I'm just learning for the sake of learning. It's just attached to the game.
Yeah, and one of the things we're including in the game is a little bio book that has mini bios about each of the Surrealists to learn a little bit about them. So as I mentioned, there are some people in there like you've seen, like Salvador Dali, most people have heard of. You might recognize a piece of art by Magritte. But there are also a lot of folks in there who don't get quite as much recognition traditionally in the Surrealism movement, and we're trying to bring those people to the forefront as well.
Yeah. Is this something that you would envision, or have you thought about reaching out to? Because I feel like it would be a great fit to be sold in like a museum gift shop.
Yeah, that's our end goal with this game is after the Kickstarter, we want to get it in retail for gamers. But we also want to be able to reach non-gamers. And one of the great ways to do that, to reach art enthusiasts, is going to be museums. So that's our hope. We're fingers crossed we can get it placed in some museum gift shops. And the game is, as you probably saw from the rules, kind of has a sliding scale of complexity. You can play it without some of the harder, more gamery elements to learn, and so that's kind of the goal, so that I can play it, say, with my mom, or even if she found it in a museum gift shop, she might be able to play it by herself. And then that sliding scale gets more interesting as you get more into the game. You can make it more complex and more detailed.
Yeah, I do have, technically I have a degree in art history, but I can't say I was a great student. So I have a great appreciation for art, but my memory of a lot of the dates and names and things isn't so great. But it's really fun and exciting. We always love games that are themed around art. And especially, I think we talked about there's a lot of museum games and art games that are often centered around collecting and
the pieces,
like set collection or whatever it is, and it feels like a very different kind of an angle to approach it from. So I think both of us appreciated that too.
And one of the things I like about Surrealist Dinner Party is that we get a little combination of both the art of the work of the artists and who they were themselves, because our illustrator Virginia Mori, who's a modern day Italian surrealist, she did most of the cards in the style of the artwork of the artist. So it's the artist depicted in their own style, which is interesting.
You should have her add herself as a promo card.
We are actually working on that.
All right.
Don't tell anyone, but that may be coming down the pipe.
Oh man, well that's very exciting. Anything else? Any other like secret teases, or maybe not so secret, but any projects that you have in the works right now other than Surrealist Dinner Party that you might want to shout out to people?
I've gotten careful about shouting out our upcoming stuff because we change on it so often, and that's kind of how the development process works, right? We end up with 4 or 5 prototypes we're working on at a single point, and sometimes like one will be in the lead, but it has some issues, and then we'll have a breakthrough on another one, and that jumps to the front. That was actually the case for Surrealist Dinner Party. We had some other stuff that we were working on, and Surrealist Dinner Party, we got a bunch of those approvals, and we're like, now's the time, we're ready to go. So we do have some interesting, exciting things that you can find a little bit about online. We're working on a single sheet write and fight game, we call it. It's like a roll and write, but there's no writing. It's a war game that's played on a single spread of paper with some pens, and you could take it anywhere. We're playing around with that one. We've got some an interesting storytelling game where you're competitively storytelling, and it's not judged. It's a little bit more like Visitor, where you're trying to convey secret information through the stories you tell. And we've got, what else am I missing? Oh, we've got a real-time roll and write game that we're also working on. So some of that stuff we may be playtesting at Gen Con. If you drop by our Discord, you can maybe get a shot at playing some of that.
Yeah, those all sound like really cool concepts for games. Well, hopefully most of them come to fruition. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Resonym doesn't really do a ton of expansions. You mostly just come out with new stuff. Is that a deliberate decision that you make, or is it just naturally you think as a company you're more drawn to new ideas and new types of games?
It's not a specific decision. There's certainly some expansions we really want to make. We've wanted to make a Monarch expansion for the longest time, and it's always, I think the hard part is we have a hard time just pinning those down. There are all these things we want to add to the game, and we've done multiple prototypes of a Monarch expansion. It's always just getting it just right, which I find particularly challenging in our design process. So you may see some expansions from us from the future. We've got some ideas for a Mechanica one as well. But it's just that we always get excited by the new ideas as well.
Yeah, it's easy to get distracted. Well, thank you for talking to us about Surrealist Dinner Party, and it's a shame that we can't hang out in person at actual Gen Con. But if anyone's watching right now and throughout Gen Con, as was stated, you can try some of these games out and hang out with some people from Resonym. We'll put a link to the Discord and all that in our description down below. Anywhere else people can find you that you want to shout out to people, or anything? Yeah,
as always, find us at resonym.com. And you can see Surrealist Dinner Party at surrealistgame.com. That'll take you to the Kickstarter for now. But yeah, definitely jump in our Discord, especially during Gen Con, and you can play games with us.
Yeah, I think all of Resonym's games they're all really different, and they bring something unique to the table that we've enjoyed all the ones that we've played a great deal. So definitely don't sleep on them if you haven't played them already. All right, thanks again, Max, for joining us. It's been a lot of fun, and
thanks for having me.
Enjoy the rest of the convention as it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thanks everybody for watching. And this has been Roll for Crit.
Thanks to all our members of our Patreon page for making this show possible. You can sign up for exclusive benefits or help us by liking and subscribing.
You can also take a quick survey to help us improve Roll for Crit, and in exchange, you'll receive access to a Patreon exclusive podcast episode. Stay up to date on all our Gen Con online coverage, including live gameplay at rollforcrit.com.